Good evening, everybody. It's Moen After Dark. I'm your host, Moen. I am flying solo this week, so bear with me if I get anything wrong. I apologize for any turbulence. Um, I've got the soundboard locked in.
I
Hopefully,
couldn't
correct.
care less about the team struggling.
I've got this to do the first Georgia Tech with you guys. So when Georgia Tech comes up, we will talk about that. I want to talk about a couple topics tonight. One is going to be the UFL. I don't know if anybody had a chance to see any of the games this week, but I have some thoughts on it. And they do relate to the sport of college football, I think, very well. And I want to talk a little bit about Brett Yormark, the cat behind the controls of the Big 12. How's he doing? What's he doing? Does he have an ulterior motive? Or is he flying solo, as I so subsequently put it? And we'll also take your questions. I know Immaculate wanted to be here this week. Unfortunately, he could not make it, but that'll be his story to tell. And I just want to let him know we're thinking about him. Door's always open. Thank you. All right, let's get to some hellos here. Buckshot Kid. How would I know? Buckshot Kid. Oh, happy Easter. Happy Easter to you. Happy Easter to everybody. I wore a little Easter egg costume here tonight. I know some people were looking for a bunny costume, but I apologize. I don't have a bunny costume. I don't dress like bunnies. I just eat them. Ryan Willie, the evil badger. Happy Easter. Happy Easter to you as well, Ryan. Timothy Green, the mountain man. Let's get ready for another fantastic show. Well, I hope so. It's going to be a little bit of an abridged show tonight since it's only me, but we're going to do everything we can. Get your questions and comments out there. We're going to have some fun. Ryan Willie, Notre Dame won't join a conference because they have a massive endowment. But in my opinion, they won't win a title staying independent. Yeah, that's going to be the give and the take. They're going to have a hard time competing for national championships, especially if they go the route where they're not going to pay players. Ryan Willie again. Notre Dame has a weak schedule, not worthy of CFP consideration on a yearly basis. The problem with their schedule mostly is the ACC being up and down. You don't know what ACC teams you're getting. I think Syracuse is going to be greatly improved next year. You can't guarantee that you're going to get Florida State and Clemson and, North Carolina and all the power teams in the ACC every year with that ACC deal, unless the only ACC team they're guaranteed is Stanford, which is another story altogether. Nathan Campbell's in the house. Hey, Nathan, good to see you. Could you two ever see the Big Three splitting off in what conference order? Control for football, the other conference for baseball and softball, and then the Big 12 in control for basketball? No. I think the Big 12 is going to control basketball regardless. I know they don't have a team in the Final Four this year. But I think that they're just set up to control basketball with the brands they have and with the brands they will add, like Louisville, possibly Syracuse, possibly UConn. They're going to be able to control that quite a bit. Every time the name Notre Dame is said, Moen should play a Laura Flowers sound.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
That's as close as I have. Sorry. Big Lubbock, happy Easter to you as well. Happy Easter to everybody who's watching, by the way. He is risen. Safe with fan. Consider all the Rat Pack family. I like that, the Rat Pack. And Antoine Coates is here as well. Good to see you, Antoine. Illini Ted, tough loss for the Illini Ted. Sorry. Buckshot Kid, I watched the first half of the first game of the UFL and had stuff to do. I will say this, it started bad and it got progressively better. I didn't catch the last game of the UFL weekend, but I caught the first three. Bob Swanger, good to see you, Bob. Randy Taylor, hey, Randy Taylor, good to see you. Rockin' Rant, here multitasking, watching hoops, and Moen working on the Discord server. Thanks for doing that. And speaking of which, let me go ahead and plug that. Our Discord server is now live thanks to the efforts of Rock and Rant. And I will go ahead and put that link in chat. If anybody wants to come in there, hang out with us, talk college football, talk pretty much anything, really, we'd love to have you there. And there's that right there, discord.gg. Click on that link. You can join up with us. Come in and talk. We've got different rooms. We've got audio rooms. We got rooms on rooms on rooms. There are many rooms in this house. Immaculate is hiding from his bookie. Just because he's from Iowa doesn't mean that he's a gambling addict, Tony. Come on. He's a gambling addict because he loves it. Daniel Gygax is in the house. Good to see you, Daniel Gygax. Scott, the K-Skater in Florida. Good to see you, sir. C. John, howdy. Happy Easter to all here to honey baked ham, Hawaii rolls, and peach cobblers. I'm a goose man myself, but cheers to that. Cheers. Georgia Tech. Here's to Georgia Tech. Johnny Bard, Florida State 91. Why doesn't ESPL compel ACC to accept a new 5-year contract provided the schools accept a 3-tier system? FSU, Clemson, UNC, UM, the rest 25 million, revenue neutral, and precedent setting. Yeah, the problem is going to be that those other schools are not going to agree to that. And there's no way they can compel them to do that. Jared Jones, happy Easter month. Big recruiting weekend for Ohio State, huh, Jared? We got a couple 4-star commits. And I'm pretty sure they'll be 5-star by the end of the recruiting cycle. Watched a little of the UFL game with AJ McCarron. Who they think going to beat them Bengals? Nobody. Yeah, I watched that game too. That was a crazy ending in that game, but we'll get to that. A 10-game big schedule and a 9-game SEC schedule hurts Notre Dame's strength of schedule, absolutely. Especially if the Big Ten tells USC not to schedule Notre Dame. Are you channeling your inner Elton John every single day, dude? Every single day. Notre Dame never plays FSU and Clemson in the same season through 2036. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure that's for a reason. Friends coming. It's 10-game schedule in the talks. It has. It's been rumored down the road a bit. Yeah, a little down the road. And then Numbskull News is here and he says this is better than solo porn. Well, I would have to say it depends on who's doing porn. By God, it's better than me doing solo porn. So let's talk about starting out with a little Brett Yormark stuff. Very interesting to me how low-key Brett Yormark of the Big 12 has been recently. He'd had his interview on 365 Sports during the pro day. Didn't say a lot, was pretty tight-lipped. But I wonder what you guys think. Do you think he was out there? I have this sneaking suspicion that he is working with the Big Ten and the SEC. I have a sneaking suspicion that that joint advisory group, along with the Big 12, is basically going to salary cap what they're paying players, so everybody pays equal. And I believe that the Big 12 is going to help lean further on some of these ACC teams to help sort of constrict the ACC until it hemorrhages. So, what do you guys think about that? Boy, I hope not. I don't want to lose our big OOC games with Texas, Bama, and Georgia. Ohio State's always going to schedule tough out-of-conference games. And that's simply because of the money it brings in. Brings in huge dollars to Columbus and Ohio State. Mr. Monkey Says is in with his 3 monkeys as usual. Numbskull News says, yep. I assume that's in regards to Brett Yormark or me doing solo porn. I don't know which. Good to see you, Moen. Hope you're doing well. Thank you, Mr. Monkey Says. I appreciate it. Gonna have a little bit of a scar there, but other than that, I'm feeling much better. I'm able to drink again. Got rid of the antibiotics. Hummus Hero's in the chat. Good evening, Moen in chat. Good evening to you, Hummus Hero. I like that PFP. Another Buckeye in the house. So let's talk about the UFL. I got to sit down and watch 3 games. I watched the game yesterday between the Michigan Panthers and the St. Louis Battlehawks. I watched the game prior to that, and then today I watched the DC Defenders versus the San Antonio Brahma Bulls. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I will be honest. I was prepared for the worst. I've seen a lot of these spring leagues come and go where there's just absolutely terrible, terrible, terrible gameplay. I thought the gameplay was adequate. I think it'll get better as the season goes along. But I think there need to be some improvements made, especially with where teams are located. I do not agree with them locating teams in the same cities as NFL teams. I think it doesn't make sense. If you look at the teams that showed out the most, San Antonio Brahma Bulls had a great crowd. The St. Louis Battlehawks had a great crowd. Or usually they have a great crowd, St. Louis Battlehawks do. Because those are two teams that don't have NFL franchises, and St. Louis lost their NFL franchise. I think, personally, if I was going to redo this next year, I would take those teams away from where those NFL teams are and posit them in towns that have either lost their NFL team, like Oakland, or in old college towns with power football. You already have that with the Birmingham Stallions. They've already got a team in Alabama. If they put a team in Columbus, which I would be all for, they've got one in Michigan, cover Michigan football. Put one in Florida, so you have your Florida covered. Make it Orlando, so you can cover Florida, Florida State, Miami, all three of them. I think they would do a lot better there. The one thing that stood out to me from the game yesterday, this kid from the Michigan Panthers went out there and hit a 64-yard field goal that probably would have been good from 70. It was insane. If that kid's in the UFL next season, I would be shocked. I would be shocked. It's really kind of exciting to watch UFL, see some of these college players that you haven't seen in a while, and you're like, hey, yeah, what happened to Benjamin Victor from Ohio State was a receiver yesterday. He was out on the field, made a good catch. Matt Corral, very good play. I was very surprised. But yeah, it's AJ McCarron so, which really AJ McCarron doesn't have other excuse and he's old. He's got pro experience. He should be doing significantly better than he is doing. But let me know what you guys thought of the USL, or USF, whatever it's called, UFL. I'll get it eventually. But I would have liked to see them move teams away from, like, you don't need a team in you got 3 teams in Texas, one in Houston, one in Arlington, which is Dallas, essentially, and you've got one in San Antonio. You don't need 3 teams in Texas, guys. I get it. You want the Texas market? Do San Antonio, man. Those fans were down there. They were glad to be there. They were partying. You know, they were having a good old time in San Antonio. Not so much in the other ones. So, but I would like to see the league expand. I'd like to see some other teams get in there. I'd like to see a team in Columbus, Ohio. I'd like to see a team in Florida. I don't know, maybe put one in Oregon too, for Oregon, Portland. But tell me what you guys thought if you saw any of it. All right, let's get back to your questions. Off antibiotics, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech. Yeah, Georgia Tech. Tough game, yeah. Tough game for Illinois yesterday. Didn't work out well. Purdue's our only hope. Numbskull News says, for exchange for helping Big 12 gets UNC, Duke, and Virginia. Okay. Maybe. I don't think Brett Yormark has enough leverage, even with the big and SEC backing. It's what the courts decide in ACC versus Clemson, FSU. I agree with you that that's going to come down to ultimately what the linchpin is, but I do think he has some. He's playing it way too low key not to have some kind of plan or poker in the fire, something going on in his head. He's being silent G, like in lasagna. Tony Lawson's number 14. Good to see you, Tony. Illini Ted, do you foresee more big SEC scheduling coming in the near future now that they are collaborating The Illini are already restarting our yearly game with Mizzou, but that was negotiated beforehand. I think it's going to be dependent on the teams. Michigan and Ohio State are always going to schedule those big out of conference teams. I know Michigan hasn't recently, but they've got Texas this year. So I think the bigger brands have always done a pretty good job of scheduling the tough out of conference teams. The problem is you schedule them out of conference so far that we scheduled Virginia Tech when Virginia Tech was a power, and by the time they played us, they beat us the one year, but they weren't near the level they were when we scheduled them. Same is true of the University of Miami. Miami was on an upswing when we scheduled them, but when we played them, they were not. And on the flip side, we scheduled USC when they were a power, and they kicked the shit out of us for 2 years. So remember, this is a consolidation of the USFL, XFL. A lot of fat was trimmed. Yeah, I know. I agree. It's but the football play is much improved. It's much improved over what USFL was last year and what XFL was last year. I think the play is much improved, which I think was their problem. It wasn't that people don't want to watch spring football. They know what football is, and they weren't playing it. Buckshot Kid, have you noticed the Big 12 fans are not talking about how they're the best basketball conference? I sure have. Well, looks like right now that's the ACC. But we'll see how that pans out. Oakland Coliseum needs a ton of work to have a UFL team. It might, but I mean, look, if you're going to lose, there's talk of them losing the Athletics. You've lost the Raiders. At some point, you're going to have to invest to get a team in there. And I think that would be perfect for the UFL. Fort Worth, Oklahoma City, Salt Lake City. Fort Worth would be a good one. Oklahoma City, yeah, that would be a good one. Salt Lake City, I don't know. I don't know if they would show up on a Sunday because of the religious thing. That would be my only reason. Otherwise, you would have to have Salt Lake City play only on Saturdays. Duke's losing by 14. That's tough because I've got them in my bracket. The Kim. Rock and Rant. If you join the Discord main chat room, is hashtag CFB Mafia Main. If you have an issue joining or seeing channels, let me know so we can fix. Okay. The Kim Mulkey of YouTube TV. Thank you. We have Texas, Alabama, and Georgia upcoming. USC has LSU and Ole Miss. UCLA has LSU. Michigan has Texas and Oklahoma. Wisconsin has Alabama. Minnesota has Alabama. Not sure on the rest. Yeah. The bigger names tend to put those out. Penn State's playing West Virginia back-to-back. I know some people shit on West Virginia and say they're not a power team, but, it's better than playing a G5, Johnny Bard, FSU 91. The alternate option is warning the ACC that refusal of a 3-tier payment system equals new media contract worth only $20 million per team. ESPN has leverage now, and ESPN retains control of key brand names. Again, you're not going to get those other teams to agree to it. They're just not going to. I see where you're going, but those teams at the bottom that know they're getting cut anyway, they have no reason to comply. They would rather sit there and wait for the payout and do it out of spite. Mr. Monkey says, still the best basketball conference, just had a bad tourney, and when Kansas is down, the whole conference is hurt. Houston would have beat Duke for sure if Shed had not gotten hurt. I actually had Duke beating Houston, but Buckshot Kid, the Big 12 is the best basketball conference. Yeah, I think so. Elton John, there you go, front runner. I try and keep it fun. Yeah, they're talking about that game. Scoreboard is scoreboard. Win it on the court and not on a power ranking. Fair enough. I mean, UConn's an independent, and I've got UConn winning it all. So I guess we could say independent's the best basketball conference. Minnesota, Tony Lawson letting us know Minnesota has Mississippi State in 26 and 27. St. Louis Battlehawks, baby. Caw. There you go. Georgia Tech to build Big 12 a possibility. It is. Great market. Atlanta's a great market. Thank you for that numbskull news. I appreciate that. Move the Arlington Renegades because Dallas only cares about the Cowboys anyway. I agree. Move them to Fort Worth. Move them anywhere. I mean, move them to New Orleans. Well, I wouldn't go New Orleans. Maybe Baton Rouge. Move them to Baton Rouge. Don't put teams where NFL teams play, guys. It's not going to work. The stands were empty for that Arlington game. Yeah, it looks terrible on you. Friends call me Sean. I'm okay with UFL and NFL cities, but not in NBA and MLB cities in the spring. Again, I think you should go for those mid-tier market games. You're going to sell out games. If there was a team in Columbus, Ohio, and they played in the Horseshoe or at Cree Stadium, there would be a respectable turnout for it. I don't think. Look, you're the second-tier league. You don't need to be in the first-tier cities. Go to, Albany, New York instead of a New York team. ACC bragging just before the ship sinks is hilarious. If UConn invested anything into their football pro team, they would be an easy pickup for the Big 12. But alas, they use all their money for men's and women's basketball only. Yeah, but it's paid off for them. You have to admit that they're consistently up there. They're one of the most consistent teams, both men and women in basketball. I think they're going to go back-to-back this year. Scott, the K-Stater in Florida. Yeah, I have to admit we choked Big 12. I don't think the Big 12 choked. I just thought they had some bad matchups. Bad matchups, injuries, some other things. Sir Elton Hahn. I'm not a Hahn. I'm not related to Jessica. Bet Immaculate will bet the over at 1.5 on Iowa's offensive touchdown per games. Oh, guys, come on. Iowa at least tried to do something this offseason. Let's wait and see if it'll happen. Oakland, who is investing in Oakland? Cartels invest in Oakland. There you go. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Oakland, yes. I understand the crime and all that. But if you've got two major sports franchises leaving the city, it's going to leave a gap. You can sell tickets there. You can put butts in the stands there. It's not going to look like the Arlington game yesterday where it was like hardly anybody was watching and you thought they were pumping in crowd noise. I think if you showed up and they just gave you a ticket, I think the whole thing was papered. They couldn't give any tickets away. Mr. Monkey says, got to drop. I'll try to check back later. Sounds good, Mr. Monkey says, if I don't speak to you again. This is going to be an abridged episode, so it's going to be shorter. Have a happy Easter. Who would have thought that North Carolina State would be the ACC team to make the Final Four? I had them to the Elite Eight. And I had them losing to Duke, but I guess that puts in. I was like number 257,000 in the ESPN brackets out of so many millions. But I think that's going to put me off. Put one in Waco. No, I don't think we're going to put one in Waco. I just don't think that they would put one in Roswell. That's where I want to see one. I want to see it like in all the basketball. Remember the movie Basketball? All the basketball cities where it's like Roswell and Milwaukee. UConn basketball is in the Big East. That may be, but overall, they're still an independent in football, so I'm going to call them an independent. Big East in basketball, again, they're in football, they're independent. I still consider them independent. I won't consider them. Listen, until they put all their sports in the Big East, which they can't because of football, I don't know. We'll call them Big East independent. Feel sorry for Houston losing Sheed. Iowa State didn't play well first half. They need to play on college campuses. I don't think that's a bad idea. The Birmingham Stallions actually do a good job of packing their stands. And I think part of that is because they pick up players from Alabama that did not get drafted and highlight them. And that would be a great idea for other teams to do. I know Benjamin Victor's on, I think he's on the Mustangs. Yeah, he's on one of the teams from Ohio State, but I mean, put him on a team from Ohio State. People come out to get his autograph. That's part of the fun, I think, of spring football. It's a type of football. I hated Arena League football, but I like USFL and XFL. I like some of the rule changes they've done too. Automatically, it's going right up to the booth if something's off. I don't know. I see a lot of promise in the UFL. I should say that. I see a lot more promise in the UFL than I did in the USFL or the XFL. I just think if they would make a few tweaks and changes, they could really solidify their business model. Big 12 is the best basketball conference. In the past 3 NCAA tourneys, only one Big 12 team has made it to the Final Four, this despite getting the most teams invited into the tourney. Good to know. I did not know that. And of the past 3 Final Fours, ACC tie. All right, let me try and untie my tongue. And of the past 3 Final Fours, ACC teams have comprised a third of them. NC State, what a season. Well, again, that screwed up my bracket. But Shonsky, how you doing, Moen? I'm great. Love the show. Good to see you, Shonsky. I'm doing much better. I've got my bottle of whiskey out here. I'll have a drink just for you. Ooh. Put one in Stillwater or Lubbock. Yeah, maybe. I think you might need to mark it just a little bit larger than Lubbock, though. The Waco Fire Starters, yeah, I don't think that's going to fly. That's the other thing, too. I'm not really particularly fond of the names. I think some of the brands, like the Gamblers, should have been saved instead of the Roughnecks. If you're going to have a team in Houston, it should be the Houston Gamblers. So at least you've got some franchise history you can rely, fall back on. If you're going to have a team in New York, New Jersey, call them the New Jersey Generals. Yes, Joaquin Morales, good to see you, good sir. Hey, Moen and Mafia fam, smash that like button. Yes, please do. We're about halfway through the show. If anybody wants to give us a like, please do that. That helps boost us in the algorithm. And if anybody wants to become a member, we've got some great new videos in the member section. We've also got a great, very controversial video that Wild Ute released this morning of Notre Dame's financial doomsday. And if you want to enjoy the comment section there, by all means, go in that comment section and say something either negative or positive about Notre Dame. And then sit back and eat your popcorn. Very good video, very interesting, but Notre Dame fans were nonplussed about it, to say the very least. Roswell UFOs. Yeah, Roswell. The Roswell crash is what I would call them. The Roswell crash. I've read a couple articles about SEC Big 10 picking off Big 12 teams and go to divisions, i.e. Southwest, Midwest. Do you think Yormark has any incentive to do this? Co-commish role. I don't see them really poaching any Big 12 teams this time in realignment. I think the Big 10's probably just going to pick up Florida State and Miami, be happy at 20. The SEC will take North Carolina and Clemson and be happy at 18. I do see down the road at some point, Kansas is going to become an option for somebody. And I know a lot of Kansas fans don't like to hear that, but they're putting money into that football stadium. They're AAU. They've got a blue blood basketball brand. It's going to be hard to keep suitors away from that. Big 12 won 2 of the 3 natties, but this year was a disappointment. Moen, the 50-yard indoor war was fun to watch. Arena football was worth the ticket. But yeah, if you're there and drinking, I guess. But I was not a fan of I just wasn't a fan of the whole rule set, the type of football. I think UFL is more traditional football that I enjoy, that I understand, that you don't have 4 guys in the backfield in a motion running to the line of scrimmage. Yeah, but sure. I went to a Columbus Destroyers game. I had fun at it, but I wouldn't go there consistently. The Battlehawks is a great name, and they're a great team. They sell out that. Maybe not sell out, but they do a good job of packing butts and seats. That's a perfect example of a market that had an NFL team leave, and they brought that into the market, and that market just put their arms around it and loves them. So, what do you think of the FSU as an independent talk? I think it's an interesting theory, but I wouldn't put it into practice. I think it's no more than a theory. I did a count today. We've got less than 6 business days for this judge to make his decision before April 9th. We've got 5 business days next week, and then we've got Monday the 8th. And Monday the 8th is a holiday here in Ohio, but not anywhere else. But in Ohio, it's a holiday because we're going to have a total solar eclipse. So a lot of things are closed, but I don't think they're doing that in North Carolina. So that gives him 6 business days to get his ruling in before April 9th when the court case gets taken up in Florida. So I'm hoping. I'm thinking middle to end of this week we get his ruling. Moen, what will be this week's biggest headline in college football? I think it'll be that judge's ruling. The judge in Mecklenburg County will make a ruling this week. Flying solo, radar can't pick you up. I'm flying low and slow, or low and fast. I don't know. Trust me, I'm a big dude. If I was flying, it would be like a dirigible. No one is going to pay a decent price for a UFL ticket. I think the secondary soccer league in the U.S., USL2, charges more for their tickets right now. You're right, but if you put them in places where people actually want to go see football played, you'd be surprised. Like I said, St. Louis does a phenomenal job moving tickets for the Battlehawks games. If you put a team in Oakland, you might have the same situation. If you put a team in Columbus, what do you think is going on in Columbus, Ohio in April? Nothing. Whole lot of nothing. We got the spring football game on the 13th, and then nothing. You would sell tickets if you put it at Crew Stadium. Yes, Northwestern has a bid to produce a temporary stadium similar to a golf. I forget which hole they said. I think it's like the 18th hole at Augusta or some golf course like that that's using this futuristic thing. I did see that. I don't know how well that's going to work. I would just play at the Chicago Bears Stadium, Soldier Field, as long as you can. And the St. Louis Battlehawks coach was a Mountaineer. There you go. Buckshot, the concept is pretty cool. Only 15,000 seats, though. Yeah, but it's Northwest. Let's be honest. The only time that Northwestern sold out Ryan Field was when Ohio State or Michigan or some other big team was coming in there to play. So 15,000 should be more than enough for their home teams, their home fans. What other teams do you think will jump into lawsuits quickly if FSU or Clemson win? I don't think they even need to win. We need to see what this ruling is coming out of Mecklenburg County, because if he agrees that vote was illegal and it changes the date of who filed first, I think you're going to see North Carolina jump in, and I think you're going to see Miami jump in. Miami in particular is going to jump in quick because they're going to say, we've got the venue we want. What are you hearing about our former K-State quarterback Will Howard is doing at spring practice with your Buckeyes? I have heard good and bad. He is having a little bit of trouble adapting to the speed of play, which is something that Chip Kelly and Ryan Day both focus on, is how quick get those plays out there. I'm hearing he's doing good at runs. Some of the designed runs he's doing really well at. The quarterback that's making the most noise coming out of the Buckeyes camp is Julian Sand. He's supposedly the most accurate. But after this week's spring game and the spring portal opens, I'd imagine we're probably going to lose at least 2 quarterbacks. We'll probably lose Devin Brown and Keinholz to the transfer portal. So I believe Will Howard will be the starter going in. UNC and Miami, yeah, those would be the 2 that I would put in. Northwestern's playing Ohio State at Wrigley. Okay. Well, you know what Ohio State fans will do? They'll pee all over Wrigley. That's all we do. We go places and we pee on it. Great win for North Carolina State. You're right. It's a great win. Like it busted my bracket, but I'm glad to see it. I'd like to see North Carolina State go and lose to UConn. I've got UConn winning it all. I'd like to see Purdue win as well. I would like to see the Big Ten hasn't had a national champion in 23 years, I believe, 23, 24 years. So I would like to see Purdue do it, but we'll see. We'll see. I still think UConn's the best. Northwestern is playing us at Wrigley. There you go, Wrigley Field. Rock and Rant on QB portal front. Even the people at Miami who are most down on Cam Ward front have been pretty universal, saying he's on fire in spring practice, keeping fingers crossed. We'll see. I mean, you might have a chance to get some of our receivers. We're probably going to lose a receiver and a running back in the spring portal as well. So I think Dallas Hayden is probably gone from Ohio State. It's just too competitive of a running back room. And I think we probably will lose at least one receiver. We already lost a recruit this weekend and picked another one up. 24 years. Thank you, Coy. 2000, yeah. Michigan State. I knew it was Michigan State. I didn't know that it was 2000, but God. Maybe Northwestern will play all their November home games at Wrigley the next 2 years. I really just can't see investing in that temporary stadium thing unless you can repurpose it for some other reason. So unless they can find some ideal way to repurpose that, I would just say play where you're, play at Wrigley, play at Soldier, play whatever venue is available to you within the Chicago market. What are your thoughts on the ACC scheduling a conference game in Ireland instead of at Georgia Tech? I'm all for international markets, but unless you're having Notre Dame play at Ireland, there's really no point. But I think it will be great for the fans who can afford to go to Ireland to see Ireland. It's a beautiful country. I think for them it would make a lot of sense. But for the game itself, I think you'd be better off to put it in London if you really wanted to get a lot of fans there. I don't think the Irish fans are going to turn out the same way they turned out for Notre Dame. And I'm just basing that off the Northwestern Nebraska game from a couple years ago. Not a fair trade. You guys got Jeremiah in recruiting, and he should be unreal early on. He's if you go look on Twitter, there's actually a play where Devin Brown shorts the ball to him, and he has to go back and catch it. And he absolutely crushes it over Denzel Burke and Caleb Downs coming over to help. So we've got high hopes for Jeremiah Smith. The guy is a freak. He will be the next Marvin Harrison Jr. on our team. Scott, the K-Stater in Florida. Yeah, I can tell you from experience that Will Howard is an underrated running quarterback. He got an NFL arm, but sometimes tries to force it in with Ohio State speed. He may not need to force it. Yeah. I think it's just, from what I understand, it's just the speed of the plays. How quick we rotate guys in and out. We want to keep it up pace. We want to keep people moving. North Carolina State, men and women, happy for them. Yeah, the Wolfpack backpack strikes back. Let's see, we got a $9.99 super sticker, I guess, from Scott, the K-Stater in Florida. Thank you, Scott. Much appreciated. I will let you cook as soon as I can find it on all these new buttons.
Let him cook. Let him cook now. Let him cook. I said let him cook.
Thank you so much, Scott. I appreciate that. It means a lot to me and the boys here. It helps us keep the lights on, helps us bring new things to you, like the new Discord server that we've got set up. And if you didn't get a chance to catch that link, I will go ahead and pop it up in the chat again for you. By all means, if anybody wants to chat college football in general, We've got kind of all kinds of rooms over there, different places to chat up things with your fellow fans from College Football Mafia. Scott Schrader says Ohio State scores top linebacker Yep, we got Alford for 2025. Please send some our way. James Laurinaitis is a fantastic recruiter. And that's, what the young man said. He's young enough to understand what a young man wants, and he's old enough to have the experience to talk to the parents. So get your recruiter like James Laurinaitis, you'll be good. What's with playing Ireland? CFB teams always play in a secondary stadium there, and the locals really don't care for it. Is it just a tourist thing? Well, the locals cared for it when Notre Dame played there. That's about the only time the locals really give a care for it. You're right. It's mostly for tourists. Most of the people you see going over there are tourists going over there to watch their team play. Which, like I said, Ireland's a beautiful country. If you're of Irish descent, going back to the old country, I can completely understand wanting to do that. But for me, if I'm going to play college football games internationally, why not Toronto? Why not London? Why not Mexico City? I'd love to see a Big Ten game in Toronto. So, do you think the spring transfer portal will be more chaos? Flush seems to think so. Yes, it'll have to be. After these spring games and they start cutting down who's going to be where, yeah. I think, like I said, from Ohio State, you're going to see Devin Brown and Kleinholtz go into the portal. Those are 2 4-star quarterbacks. Somebody's going to gobble them up. Dallas Hayden, who's a 5-star running back, he'll go in the portal. Somebody will gobble him up. So, I mean, that's the thing with the NIL deals that are going on out there, the amass of talent that like Ohio State's amassed. You can't keep all these 4 stars and 5 stars happy and stand there. They're not going to ride the bench when they can go play at another team. So, Kleinholtz, I'd imagine, follows DeBoer to Alabama because I know DeBoer really recruited him hard. Devin Brown, I know my good friend Greg Flugar. The Flugs thinks Devin Brown might wind up in Minnesota. I have my doubts, but we shall certainly see. I think Devin Brown will stay in the Big Ten, and that terrifies me, though. Wisconsin plays Pitt in Dublin in 2027. Well, Ryan, if you're going to that game, by all means, enjoy Dublin. Like I said, it is a beautiful country, so enjoy it. I don't think you're gonna get a lot of local fans there for Pitt versus Wisconsin, but who knows? Maybe. Does USC Trojan women make it to the Final Four? Couldn't tell you. I know South Carolina made it to the Final Four. What do you think of the Big 12 Pro Day experiment? I think it was a tremendous success for Brett Yormark. Look, you don't have the same brands that the Big 10 or SEC do. You can get all your best Big 12 players in one room for the scouts to look at. What that's going to do is that's going to boost their, more scouts can look at them. It's going to boost them in the draft. More guys you get taken early on in the draft, it's going to boost your recruiting for each school, which is going to in turn boost your draft stock, which is going to in turn, it's a good cycle to have. I think it was a brilliant move. The Big Ten and the SEC will never go that way. The juggernauts like Ohio State and Michigan want the importance surrounding their pro days, but it was a great deal for the Big 12. I think it was a really smart idea. CFB in Brazil sounds fun. Okay, I'm not going to Brazil though. No way. Discord link not working. It should be. Let me see here. Maybe I've typed it in wrong. Hold on. Discord GG. Excuse me a moment, guys. Let me just type this in. Yeah, I will go ahead and that works for me. Maybe put www. In front of the Discord because that actually works for me. Rock and Rant in the chat might be able to help you. Tony Lawson, Dublin would be a wonderful place to visit. I agree. I would It's a very nice place. Dublin in Ohio is also a very nice place to visit. They think they're Dublin. Down in Kansas. Kansas plays basketball versus Houston next year in Mexico City. Wouldn't be surprised to see the Big 12 schedule a football game there too. They absolutely should, because I know the Arizona Cardinals have scheduled games there in Mexico City before and done really, really well with them. So I think that's a market for like a Texas Tech. Would be an outstanding market to put a Texas Tech game down there in Mexico City. Big 12, all about those nachos. Yeah, there you go. So, I mean, hey, they throw tortillas on the field in Lubbock. I mean, you can get the authentic thing down in Mexico City. Mosito X, excuse me. I've gone to Italy twice, Spain, France, Iceland, and Ireland. Ireland was best trip, with Iceland a close second. It was fun driving there. Yeah, it's a beautiful green country. If you like green stuff, that's Ireland for you. I think the Bigs should utilize all their territory and have a weekly game at an NFL stadium in the footprint. Yeah, but you're just going to have to. The problem's going to be you're going to be taking a home game away from some team who is not going to like that. So if that's the case, it's probably going to be one of those lower home teams like Northwestern playing at Soldier Field, or Minnesota playing at the Dome in Minneapolis. I don't think you're going to want Ohio State's not going to say, yeah. Well, they have before, though. They've played at Paycor when it was called Paul Brown Stadium, which is what I still refer to it as. They played Cincinnati Bearcats down there one year, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah, we posted a link on Discord, so you might just have to copy and paste it. That's what I'm seeing a lot of people saying. So copy, paste it, jump in there, make your username. The Big 12 is exploring establishing a football bowl game in Monterrey, Mexico, starting in 2026. Interesting. I hadn't heard that. A few people have got, yeah. If you have any problems, message Rock and Rant. He's one of the lead moderators over there. He's the gentleman who set it all up for us. He's done an amazing job. Go ahead and message him, and he should be able to help you out. Yes, it's free. It's 100% free, guys. There's nothing, in there that's locked behind a paywall. So 100% free. Illini Ted, I think if we stay at 9 conference games, make the 9th for each team in an NFL stadium, leaning 4 home and 4 road. Again, the problem is going to be getting those teams to agree to it. Columbus is not going to be happy. The Shoe is not going to be happy losing a home game. The fact is, the Shoe holds more people than either Paycor or First Energy Field does. So you're going to have actually less people showing up for your games. Same thing's going to be true about Michigan. The Big House holds a lot more people than Ford Field does. If you were going to do that, like I said, I think the only way that you could do that would be through a lesser team. I hate to say, I'm not trying to offend anybody by saying lesser team, but someone like a Northwestern hosting at Soldier Field, or a Wisconsin holding at the Packers at Lambeau Field. Nebraska couldn't host. There's not a football stadium near Nebraska. So, use any new territory we get and as quickly as possible pending contracts. Yeah, I think for the Big 12, it's or the Big 10, if you can get, I don't mind one if you do it just once a year. I just having every team do it, guys, it's just not going to work out really well. And here's Tony Lawson to tell me Minnesota doesn't want to play in the Viking Stadium. The university worked hard to get an on-campus stadium. I agree with you. I agree. I got you. I know. Camp Randall holds more than Lambeau. Yeah, I think that's going to be true of most modern NFL stadiums versus college stadiums. Besides Camp Randall, Lambeau's not going to shake the same way Camp Randall does when the fourth quarter rolls around. Right. that. Okay, guys, we're in about the last 5 to 10 minutes here. Like I said, this is going to be an abridged episode because it's the Easter holiday. I'm still debating on whether or not we do an episode next week. WrestleMania is on. I thought maybe doing a watch along with WrestleMania, but I don't know how many wrestling fans there really are here. I'm not even a huge fan. I just watch during the big matches because I have Peacock. So, any other questions or comments you want to put in there, by all means, let me know, and we will answer them. I'm sure we've got a lot of people running over to Discord right now, and I am glad to see that. And okay, that was already posted once before. You know what, guys? Let's just go ahead and wrap it up. I don't see any more comments or questions. We'll wrap it up for tonight. Enjoy the rest of your evening at Easter with your fans, your friends, and family. I will do one more Georgia Tech. Are you aware if the Big Ten requires no king spleen? They do not require it. So Miami is a candidate. Coy would be and went for a watch party. God bless. Thanks, Moen. Thank you. Take care, Moen. Thank you, Buckshot Kid. And Tony's just reiterating that they do not. So, yeah, if you guys would be down for a watch party, let me know. We could do a watch party on Saturday and Sunday. I mean, obviously, I can't broadcast what I'm watching on Peacock, but if you wanted to have a watch-along party, we could. Hey, Moen, what are your thoughts on the SEC staying at 8 conference game? I hear the discussion from SEC fans is that their 8 conference game schedule is more difficult than any. Well, that's bullshit. It's not more difficult than any other 9-game conference schedule. The reason they're doing that is to make sure they get the most value out of it, the most money. They'll go to that 9-game schedule to make sure they've got the funds for the teams that they're going to expand with. So, and then we'll end it with Rock and Rant. UCLA doesn't own the Rose Bowl, and it's 20 miles away. I could show the WWE in Discord. I could, but I don't know how to do that, and I probably don't want to do that. I don't want to get hit with a federal copyright thing or anything else. So, want to wish you all well. Enjoy the rest of your Easter holiday. Thank you so much for tuning in to Moen After Dark. There will not be a Big West Mafia show tomorrow. Pickles and Becky have stuff going on. So we will see you guys on Tuesday for the Big 12 Mafia. Until then, peace out. See ya.